Welcome to the Ask Jordan podcast, answering your questions about selling on Amazon. Now, he's peeled off more prices than a family of shoplifters. From Long Island, New York, here's your host, Jordan Malik.
Hey there, Amazon sellers. I'm your host of the Ask Jordan podcast. My name is Jordan Malik. Thank you so much for making me part of your day. I've been receiving your emails and your calls, and really, this is really a big surprise that this podcast would take off the way it does. I kind of just did this as an experiment, or just one of those many things that I said, let me try this out. And this podcast tends to resonate with a lot of you, and you all are finding it so very helpful, and I'm extremely pleased that you love this. And that really, really means a lot to me. About 2,000, roughly a little bit over 2,000 of you are watching or listening every month, either on iTunes or Stitcher or Podbay, or direct from my website or YouTube. Probably more. It's probably more like maybe 3,000 of you per month are listening. So you had a lot of choices of what you could do today, and the fact that you're listening to my podcast is a huge honor. Thank you again. Today's sponsor is ProvenWholesale.com. Now, this is for you if you want to learn how to identify and source profitable wholesale goods and properly do all this from A to Z. Everybody asks me, Jordan, how do I source wholesale? And it's not the formula that you're thinking of. Many people go on Alibaba.com and buy 1,000 gadgets, and before you know it, they're stuck with 1,000 gadgets that aren't selling. So that's not what wholesale really is. This is ProvenWholesale.com. It's a $97 course. I paid for access. I wasn't granted access of it. I paid for my membership. It's $97 for you for lifetime access. ProvenWholesale.com shows you step by step with live assistance how to start finding and sourcing profitable inventory from wholesale sources right from your home. Now, it's taught by Robin Johnson, who's a partner of Jim Cockrum, if you know who Jim Cockrum is. She started with $100. Now she does way over $1 million in combined Amazon and eBay sales. ProvenWholesale.com teaches you everything from getting started to finding trustworthy wholesalers, to learning exactly what to say and how to deal with wholesalers, how to grow your business, and so much more. ProvenWholesale.com. It's $97 for lifetime access and an anytime money-back guarantee. 100% money-back guarantee anytime you request it. Doesn't matter if it's a day after, 2 years, 3 years after. Doesn't matter. ProvenWholesale.com. Go get more information there. ProvenWholesale.com. Now, if you're listening for the first time, welcome. This is the podcast where we only answer your questions about selling on Amazon. Every episode, we answer a different question from you, the listener, about selling on Amazon. If you missed an episode, please go to AskJordan.net. You can view our episodes there. You can click onto our archives, or just do a search, Ask Jordan episode YouTube, or Ask Jordan iTunes, or Ask Jordan Stitcher. All our episodes are there. Hey, if you want to hear your voice on an episode, that just like you're about to hear from somebody, and get 7 of my best-selling ebooks 100% free, I'll tell you how to do that after we answer today's question. Today's question is from Norm, and Norm's in Arizona, and I am jealous, Norm, because I am in Long Island, New York, and it's freezing, and I'll bet it's nice and toasty where you are. Go ahead, Norm.
Hello there, this is Norm, and I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I've heard lots of good information about how to buy things for maybe $2 and sell them for 10. But lately, I think I've stumbled across something pretty good here. I've been finding a lot of textbooks for as little as 25 cents for the paperbacks and 50 cents for the hardback. And it certainly would appear, by using my Amazon app on my phone, that these are selling for 10, 20, sometimes even upwards of $100. And I was wondering if you have any experience with this. Is this one of those that sounds too good to be true, or is it true? And how would I get the best price? I'm guessing that the supply and demand could go up and down quite a bit throughout the year, depending if it was the beginning of the semester. So any advice about timing of selling these could be helpful as well. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you.
Hey, Norm, that's a terrific question. I really appreciate the fact that you brought that up. Textbooks, sourcing and selling textbooks can be remarkably a huge business for you. You could focus solely on that and make a killing. Let me just talk generally about my experience sourcing textbooks, what I've learned, etc. So for me to answer you specifically about the ones that you found for 25 cents, it's hard for me to do that without knowing the exact textbooks you're referring to. because you can have a textbook that costs you 25 cents that is selling for Amazon for $20, but there's 300 other sellers selling it, and it has a sales rank, an Amazon bestseller rank of, say, 4 million, indicating it's quite a slow seller, meaning, not many, it's almost a sales dud. You could have a textbook that you paid $5 for that is selling on Amazon for $150, and it has a sales rank of 8 million, but you're the only seller or one of two sellers. And thus, the propensity for you to actually sell that book is much higher because you're not competing with anybody. There's some pros and cons to sourcing textbooks these days. The only major con that I can think of in sourcing textbooks to resell on Amazon is that the market is flooded with greedy sellers. But there's a big but to that that's a relief. I'm going to tell you in a second. In terms of reselling products on Amazon, books were the first foray for almost anybody. If you got started selling on Amazon 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, you're probably starting with books. And that segment has become flooded with sellers. These booksellers, by far and large, are very aggressive, unscrupulous. I'm not. Let me back that up. There's a big percentage, not the majority, but a big percentage of booksellers are aggressive, unscrupulous, bossy, rabid animals. And the cool thing, when I said back there, I said there's a couple seconds ago, I said there's relief. The cool thing is that they're all grabbing for the low-hanging fruit. They want the easy stuff, so they will bully their way into a book sale or a bookstore and grab the books and run, etc. Like a thrift store or what have you. There's a lot of many techniques to go underground, what I call underground, to get your hands a little bit dirtier than they are. I'm going to post a link when you look at the show notes for this show, episode 70. I'll post a link or more links on where to get that. They're paid resources, but they're very good. There's several ways that most 99% of other competing sellers on Amazon won't bother with, because these are methods that actually require them to speak up, to maybe strike a relationship with somebody verbally. It teaches them to go where no other sellers are going, and everybody wants the low-hanging fruit. So sellers, particularly booksellers, are notoriously lazy. They want all this stuff to fall into their lap. So I really don't know what kind of success you'll have with those textbooks you found, but my wife and I've mentioned this before, I think on a previous podcast and on my blog, we don't really focus on books anymore. I'd love to focus on books all the time, but my wife does a bulk of the sourcing, and she enjoys doing more retail-oriented things like, toys or grocery items or house and patio or holiday stuff, etc. I wish I could find a way to source books all the time for myself, and I've got several other businesses, so I can't. But we stumble across textbooks these days when we go to garage sales. Of course, it's not the garage sale season now, but we stumble across textbooks that somebody's selling for $1, $2, $5 that are selling for $35, $50, $100. So if we can stumble across that stuff, certainly there's a gold mine that's still out there for people in terms of textbooks. Now, you talked a little bit about seasonality, about is there a higher demand? I would say generally for college-oriented textbooks, sure, you can see a higher demand, thus that pushes prices higher. When you close in on the back-to-school season, which I think, what's that, September? So sure, absolutely. Months leading up, June, July, August, September, perhaps, in a general sense, you'll see higher prices, used textbooks being sold for higher prices in the rest of the year. But you have two things going for you in terms of the rest of the year. One, people take courses year-round. College quarters start in December or whatever, or summer. A semester begins in like April or what have you, and the fact that it's year-round, buying certain textbooks or any textbook, it can be a year-round phenomenon. Of course, not as crazy as it is. I'm sure the biggest sales volume happens in the back-to-school season in the fall, but certainly textbooks can be sold year-round, and it's so inexpensive for you to store your textbooks at an Amazon FBA warehouse. And I do recommend that you do not merchant fulfill your textbooks, meaning you do not sell directly to the buyer from Amazon and ship directly to the buyer, that you actually ship them into your Amazon FBA warehouse and sell via FBA. I'll tell you why in a minute. But it's so inexpensive to store books for the most part in Amazon. It doesn't pay to hang on to something thinking that you might get a better price in the fall, so you'll send it into the warehouse maybe, late summer. Storing books at the Amazon FBA warehouse is relatively inexpensive. Now I'm talking about textbooks here. There's the large number of books overall, they're not valuable on Amazon. You see a lot of people selling penny books and all that. I'm not into that. The only books that I really focus on when I am sourcing books, is textbooks or very obscure out-of-print books that are kind of like titles that seem very niche oriented. Cooking, learning cooking from my Japanese grandmother while skiing in Aspen, Colorado is the title of a book. I'm just making that up, but that's something very niche. When you stumble across these niche books, they can fetch a very high dollar value. Now let's get back. One of the phenomena, Norm, that you may be seeing is that you may be seeing books that are being sold for like $1, $2, $5 that are merchant fulfilled on Amazon, meaning the seller is selling the book, but if they're shipping it directly to the customer from home. And the same book that's sitting in the Amazon FBA warehouse is selling for 4, 5, 6, 10 times the amount. Now, why is that? And that's not universal. You're not going to see that all the time, but you can certainly see in many instances. I've personally seen. I think there's a couple instances on my blog, Honest Online Selling. I don't know. You have to search for it, but there's an article I think I did on that. Is that buyers who have Amazon Prime, buyers who subscribe $99 a year. I think for students it's less. It might be $49 or $79 a year. They get anything that they buy on Amazon in 2 days, right? For a flat price of $99 a year. $99 a year. And I think if they want overnight shipping in 1 day versus 2, they only have to pay an extra, $7 or $8 if they're an Amazon Prime member. So the propensity for people to spend much more on a book when it's housed in the Amazon warehouse versus having it shipped from a third-party seller wherever their location is, their propensity for them to pay much more is very high. Particularly students who are in a crunch, they need a textbook like right away. Their classes start in a week. You bet that if they can get it in 2 days, they'll pay $80 versus $20 or $10 or $5 sometimes, if they think that they have to wait for like 10 days to receive it because their grades are on the line or what have you. So I'm a big proponent of making sure if you are going to make a business selling textbooks or any type of books that are valuable on Amazon, that you do ship them into the Amazon FBA warehouse. If you're a listener and you don't know what I'm talking about, go to jordanmalik.com/resources. Go near the top of the page and you'll see a section near the top called Free Beginner Help, parentheses Amazon, and you'll see up near the top that I have some free links to what is FBA or FBA Explained or whatever. So I certainly encourage you to send all your inventory in, no matter books, when you source them, ship them all into Amazon's warehouses so you can capitalize on those students or consumers that need the stuff right away. And I speak of that generally about merchandise overall. You should be having Amazon's warehouses fulfill it, with some rare exceptions. So Norm, go get them, okay? Norm gets all 7 of my ebooks about selling on Amazon and eBay. Norm, just go to AskJordan.net, click on the small envelope icon near the upper right-hand corner of the page. Send me an email so I know where to send your ebooks to. And if you, the listener, if you want to submit a question to the podcast and have a chance to win all my best-selling ebooks just like Norm, call 516-619-ONLINE. That's 516-619-6654, or go to AskJordan.net, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see a link on how to record your question right there using a service. By the way, before you call in your question, please look at all the episodes. Go to AskJordan.net. There's a link to our archives. You see our archived episodes, or view all the episodes on iTunes at Ask Jordan, or view all the episodes on YouTube, because your question may already be answered. I'm getting a handful of folks that are calling in with questions that are already answered, so it may already be answered there. Check it out. Hey, thanks for listening. This has been the Ask Jordan Podcast. We'll see you again in our next episode.